Aja. Engage in other activities by a na if you Okasa o my yenti emrebama na yatwafa na hwede ekọ
enokra se fie
boko said they just jinam awia we nya de keto it's all good because I think say ya brands and yetime bedru ha,
of course,
and I'm not sure say we should sit idle for some individuals to twist the narrative for political expediency because said now we see can nipa no hwede ekọ in the economy now he has nothing sensible to say. So always and always they will try because Africa your politics are not here.
okay,
We think being in opposition is about criticizing nipa no whether it is just or unjust because that is your job. But the modern governance now have be a amamuo ababedruya sanemano in new relevance be even where you think say your opponent abobra papa na ubabona baso no lend certain credibility to you.
Okay,
Because MPP ko mo koba nyina ne de omo ye nyina na no mo so mo to aba ayi flag bearer be catch almost say there is something they've not paid attention to. MPP problem enye flag bearer. The brand MPP na say Ghana for need confidence and trust with the brand MPP. Opa get out there and engage in a conversation with people and they'll tell you the brand MPP na nkasa lack credibility because of the Akufo-Addo the party in here. So for them to once again Ghana for beji omatum no, they must work on the brand MPP. My party na man for who say party no enye party a man for use as a vehicle to steal and to plank this particular country. What we say argument we no and sana will look at the flag bearer when the bill and unfortunately says ya no say party na nkasa suffer the brand credibility you find saying credibility crisis and I was a candidate on one nkasa no so personal credibility crisis. According to Kennedy Japan, some so you see, it is a double whammy. And you have this thing right in front of you as an elder of the party. You should be worried about the trend that party no come. And it's not from Pom Watson and Sebeka say party ni a fake party. Some narrow-minded individuals took it like or say party ni a fake. How can a political party be fake? He's saying say party no are deviated from the core tenant values and why or not say party no. A party no they say pursue a certain narrow parochial interest ye dincrophobia for personal benefit. Na all can so he was rather urging the party say there is the need say the core principle or foundation at the tea party no young welcome na embra fie but okay and am say sabi adwene mu no ntino yesi o say party dey fake nti on copy original no. So these are some of the summer people like Papa Yabo ni din. Yes. Because I know to any parliament. Now where the conduct of a fenyo marking free so mulusu power basin. Na number now when ya number and you encouraging you are still losing the numbers. How many MPs no more lose after since I to about we so you should be worried and then minority no need credibility. Just imagine I know fenyo marking press conference or Anya John Mahama has been in power for almost 1 year. Yes. A binder might have done 1 or 2 ebeshe Ghana for before. But minority press conference Ghana for the minority no press conference no matem na abina your mudo musika no tax amount it means people still don't trust you. And we will be a politically, we are very analytical, now you're very reasonable about issues of politics. Over Tenacia drawback, no say what I thought is wrong with the brand MPP. What I thought is wrong with the Yana, anything be a Ghana for entity serious. Then you draw back to the Akufo-Addo era and name na braboboni amodo minor boy. For instance, the economy. Yet Kroma for the first time in so many years. The economy need degenerate here to the extent say Ghana, a sovereign nation, ya access to the credit space since 4 times. Say yetimi ko eku raise Eurobond as a forum. We were told in the face say Charlie, Sabra Baboni na mobono hono, mu cookie figures, you cannot come to this particular space and borrow. The government was banned. Then the government had no other option than to come back to the domestic space. Over the years, it's an untouchable zone because government, you cannot borrow forcefully from your people. But Abane Kasa made the domestic debt exchange program by Oma meno papa ne pension sika omoda koto bank dey am investment no. Abane se mafa time me pen na mechere time me de be ma brought hardship on the people of this country. Sa pain na Ghana for komu no eno ho ne den ene ahoya no mode aye fan say ene ya no mode koto aba no And then now say chairman say ya kwatena one of the radio stations say oh NDC for gold board near young kasa your baby. That is a joke because they are trying to create impression say eye Sami Jamfi outfit the man more no eye ku ba umie initiative for never buy. That is a palpable falsehood. Sa gold for oil no it was a solution to a crisis. That was a negative policy because problem na ba and I will try to find a way because na Oma bande yentimi mbobosia na cocoa board over the years and na me dollars na yakwakwa jebosia ye de cocoa ka answer na MPP ko na ye de cocoa ka 400 metric tons of cocoa enti ye de ka. So there was nowhere na sika free but to make sure say cocoa syndicated loan ye judge say ya ankasa omoboa because omo say omo hu to the extent that they could not go out there and borrow because the yakokwa ye the previous year no yentimi supply ni nya na de ka enti ukọ back office omo de be ma. That is why a government enya sika enya access to forest, you know. Then he decided, okay, then me accumulate gold our reserve. Okay. Now you sign exchange for oil. They did that because there was no access to forest. So it was a negative policy more here to address the immediate short-term challenge. Okay. John Mahama Baye no, he was not addressing the short-term challenge or making it quite clear in his manifesto. Said your gold board. Cocoa board to all the cocoa cromana or selling no say you go to sa ebetimi aboye. Then he set up this interventionary offense platform. I had the gold board and the Jumana say on to all the gold over the years efa crime for so kono. Yamaga metini na emla one entity. Na yanton so that the forest will come back to this particular country. And that's exactly what is happening. The government can confidently say I am pushing $1 million into the economy. Now, if we say we need dollar, bet me push it into the economy. That is exactly what the government is doing. So the intervention by the Gukwemu has nothing to do with what the MPP did. It is a new, your friends say, innovative idea by Natinas here who say over the years, near my back boy my economy and stable. Because of dollar. And yet me stabilize the dollar. The only way to stabilize the dollar is to get more. Now, no matter say as a professor, we were one of the universities or Question Bank of Ghana governor say, or match wire you good for your reserve. No, you see, so these people hide behind academia, advertise nonsense in the name of politics. You see, the entire MPP pencil. The gold component of your gold reserve ever cost runie. My dick culture say na ye access to forest. Okay. The only access to forest I nya na dey. Na ye IMF sika no mo be brae no. Ukọ o reserve our Bank of Ghana. So, two components. You have the gold component and that is solid. And then you have the liquid component that is the forex. Enti samra na enam sana ye need more access to liquid, which is your friend saying forest in Intino. We were compelled to do everything in gold. But John Mahama Baye, and now there is an inflow of forex, which is the liquid component of it. So in this, that will it make sense to keep more gold when you have liquid currency? So government, the gold component, you know, a super timiati, but it doesn't mean that the reserve is what it. Say your reserve and or Bank of Ghana no. The estimation Bank of IMF the based on the negotiation MPP had with the IMF per the discussion no more no. Yeah, SCD. I think the report is out there. Go your reserve say reserve no say a depletia. That is why you have a challenge. Exactly. But it is in gold, which is solid. It is in forex, which is in cash. Surplus. And the gold depletion doesn't mean anything because the government is actively selling gold, bringing in forex, which I know that they compensate and they complement the gold and not as well depleting. So and somebody from academia should not be asking such silly questions in the name of politics. You understand? So I think that baby and near we are Ghana near you should be excited because and I'm saying dollar net stabilizing into no. All aspects of the economy are stable. And the last time I have a catcher said the very moment dollar never free per economy okay. But if you're able to stabilize it, the economy will stand still. And then because of that stability, you see say your friends say inflation is what and the rate at which inflation air driver call because MPP pension they decided to print more cash into the system. You turn a Bank of Ghana virtually into a printing press and more the printing sika. The very moment you print more cash into the system, inflation will drive. That is it's a simple mathematics. The more you print more cities and know the good system, because there is more cities, cash availability will money, it will lose its value. When you don't have your fence and forex. So what will happen? That is why inflation but and I'm saying Bank of Ghana want access to more cash into obetimi adisa sika no bi ama your friend say commercial banks. And this obetia ato force say a month biya no or the sika shove out the dollar. Emma ne kosro. Emma MP for me say sika no or shiguna me say mono sometimes you guys are jokers because a Bank of Ghana the sika system no ma and on your charity organization or to sika no to go. Sika or the mother commercial banks are hona menewo yakoko dollar yenya bia na yebekwa abochi ho. So Bank of Ghana having that money will give you to the commercial bank, and in exchange he will take either the CD or any other equivalence we are over replace on the side. Then the commercial bank will have access to dollars. And this meno your course here kopebia ye benya bi, so the pressure will be eased. And that is a policy intervention over the years. Most of the countries rely on some of these things. Even the Bank of England, the Bank of Japan, and as for them, they have a direct line with America because dollar near America for there. More those swap lines, when there is crisis and that kind of economic instability now, they're able to infuse dollars into the system to stabilize the economy. So it is not anything newer. I say, I bind ya baby mada. Man 14 change criticize it. So that can be a short term, your friend said mitigatory way, then you look also at the long term. And nema a bind now unyanye short term nema economy stabilize. How do you project into the long term? So you see, Ghana force should just disregard the MPP. Opposition more they are incompetent. They don't even know how to do opposition. Because Abrabone nema more than doesn't mean say almost any lesson from the kind of defeat and humiliation Ghana for the moment. I think they need to sit down on their asses, begin to reflect, say, baby a Ghana jinen. Ye ni 1990 BMO. And ye ni 2000 BMA. Obetimi a wepe emotional ne sa tribal sentiment. Oh, ye there ya sante for. Oh, ye there ya wana for. Munu ni sa crasisem no has no any space. Oh, your politics in BM. Young person out there is looking at the policy, looking at what he will get and how things are playing out. It doesn't matter whether you are NDC or MPP. It's the reason why still, if you go to the social space, John Mahama government is still enjoying that kind of way because the Nipa no panel. And one oye. Now I'm to say Brante because to say John Mahama na de wakwaji aduru ada. Onkwaji aduru. Sa ban wo bu. Na wo ye wadwen se obeto niema ye. Na discipline ayajuma. Now I respect the people and you will not spend beyond your means. The economy will be stable, and that's exactly what is playing out. So, MPP, there are things they need to rewrite their note. Now politics now, over the years, and 1990 politics, I have public sentiment and emotions. They should know that politics is no longer relevant. They need to tune to the system. No muhu dia koso, no mumfanyo moneyema. Because so babon ten cross over criticize here. Ghana for benya and you know so bizarre critical questions. And I know and run some muna fanyo marking kokan about your friend is saying this kotoka international way they renaming in as a forum. How then do you link this thing to some tribal theory? You know how sharp this thing because this guy has been around for quite a long time. If you want to engage in that tribal politics, that's near mano ebetime kofan sembe braba because kotoka has nothing to do with ewe for ne kotoka anyway bibia and mamenka say menchiro say ye kan nipa omon fight say anything related to coup eni say ye de ba national politics ma MPP we afi 31st December omon no drag Rollins in na ban court to say na ye celebrate as an independent day. MPP for drag Rollins are buying the court. MPP versus your friend the Attorney General 31st December case. So who read that case? Robert Catcher say, Omontia say, I bind the Ghana Sika. Ever celebrate anything related to coup because your constitution, article 34 na catcher and say, yenya anything to prevent coup d'etat. And this is your mind Sika celebrate coup. It means say yes so coup so. The same somebody from the same lineage today is telling you say Kotoka, who on record betray Kwame Nkrumah and I am no so and I two are mind to go ye coup d'etat. Say Nidin at such a monument so na ye kwako year. Then you are complaining now. That is double standard, and then it means that traditional free move. You don't even know what you're saying. That is why I could do a punk Nkrumah catcher say he support that particular change of name because kotoka name na nkasa no invoke emotions. We CPP na we obi a wo dokwa me nkroma na ye bokotoka din a clearly message in the name a sound no, it is not proper. Some of us were advocating because ye emfa Kwame Nkrumah din to so as simple as that, because Accra and as for is quite unnecessary. We need to put Kwame Nkrumah's name on that particular monument just to signify say Ghana oba na sa oba song woman na oba bra papa na wuja proper legacy hwa o man no we few. It doesn't matter how long Ghana for will still remember and remember the legacy that you led. Nesa be able to inspire young people. I'm also leave those kind of way because me not hey I never quite lucky in our politics. That sense of nationalism and patriotism. Why they dedicating what was a some of mine? You need Yasumi Yafunu and I have some political parties. So we must begin to use some of this monument renaming to encourage young people. Say, so you who's one our small minor, the nation will reward you unforgettable. On a nation of failure to honor the heroes, that nation is never worth dying for. And I think that is the message that we need to. So the opposition, which is the MPP, need to realize the stage I will mean that old era politics where you can just whip public sentiment, dabble in political trivialities and things that you can still say true with that kind of nonsense of an argument. They should know that the average Ghanaian, the young person working in Ghana, is intelligent enough to distill and to distinguish propaganda from what actually the true state is. And non Ghana for who and now talk about development. Yes. And so what to when you hear Accra. Check the many rules I also. All of them, there is ongoing activity. At a rate here, SPD Apple. Now we will be ourselves, we are Badrema. Now Ukrom Ashanti region to Accra. A buying beer by even though or now vote to do the crime free hot. Now I can't say Ednam say a highway to Accra and Intino. Me Mau Express Road. Then you have these jokers. Who individuals are or sorry tears are near you. So don't be surprised. That thing is in their DNA. They always oppose anything. And your mono and a Kwame Nkrumah your friend is saying a damn no will fee. Omo say Kwame Nkrumah say sika. Sika no de dam no e hu hia. E mo sorry tia no ho motorway the same thing. To the extent that even independence aye pe kura no. Omo tro letter koma broni say ye mmere nyanso ye. Say betimi adi ho so. And independence na Ghana epeno mom fama yen and that's only the independence that so that is their nature. So John Mahama should not claw back because these guys are sorry that particular monument ya de ba ko eba ebetimi bie o man no mu ama your friend saying transportation of goods and services trade in as for betimi aboa nipa na ye make sure say the senior ni so opese ye within the 4 years cause Ghana for who dey nti omo sign de ba and they know what he can do. So he should not be taken aback by the comment and the cynicism these jokers are going to, because they were in power a few days ago and we will be aware badwema bisa am say what's na konwa 8 good years senka we ye kwan na enka ene also befa kwan na dey shoulder.
I say only na mkwane show that because
yes. And with a common sense analysis, what just for 8 good years.
After 1 year.
After 1 year, you expect John Mahama to fix all the to say what now? We see, yeah, politics now. Sometimes, the agreements in China and the emotions, politics, and it's the reason why sometimes they say young people don't respect. No, young people are very sensible. They are very pragmatic, analytical, and very logical. As I can, what the two in now it doesn't matter who said it. And the way a penina, you should speak in the way that reflected that particular way. Magana nienya ahotoso womu. And let me tell you, dema miseme TV, dema miseme political analysis. Because if you are not careful, nipa na respecting so Kenyans as and at the end of the day, the person will end up poisoning you as a young person. That is why I tell young people say, oh that's sorry no pa. Men compare political news from Obi. One kasa look for your own political news. Based on your conviction, analyze it and take position. Obia obetie ni de bia no de shaping o de na mom you are not porting into whatever anybody say, because you cannot trust anybody out there, because obia de ne yafunu enenam ene ye de politics. At the end of the day, the national agenda na packages in China and obia ye de ope. So for me, I like what I see. The last time I catch Robi said for the first 1 year John Mahama abai so we heard the way Nema Shasia president nankasa kwan a surprise no. Because now no Bloomberg bekaye. this year 2025 end year no.
Yeah.
Now you're opposed to CD appreciation of 41%. In the history of this country, for the last 30 years, you not achieved such a feat that 30 years old, and you think it's a joke? Inflation ya droppy.
Yeah.
Someone who said 27 years at home.
Yes.
27 good years in here. And you think these things happen because of an accident? No. Look at the economy the government inherited. And look at the pragmatic measures that have been put in place within the short term. And look at the other development going on in this particular country. So, America, you may not like the NDC. You may not like John Mahama. You may not like people within. But the fact of the matter is that Nipan oya de na oye ni ya. You should be very appreciative. Encourage the person to do more. Because so when you have a be na yejina. Omaya na ye ntimi nkobobo sia. Omaya ye ho ye tan. Omaya Germany ambassador bakrum haya. Ni ya den kraman say onko China. Enko kanchira China for say omfa ye kanchen. Na just imagine say Ghana ni o pa China ni acha wo. Na nya bibi na ye bibia. Eka Ghana ni pa China ni acha wo say. Wo he ba bi omoni tuatua na ye na ekopa obocha wo. It's sad. Yes, we employed emissaries. German Chancellor about Chroma made and Krama no say onko pacha my area na nam and na ye pacha wo. Renegotiating our debt obligation because we defaulted, we could not pay. Yaba Krom had the same thing. Ebanesena, Sofia Kufu and Cowell on the street protesting against the initiative of the government. And it wasn't because of accident, it's because of constant reckless decision that the government decided to do. At the end of the day, banks, they collapsed all these banks. Emma, a hole in terms of unemployment. Papa Kwasindo and Co. Yayo munina here for by force. But in a country, you make sure say you boost local industry. Because say Access Bank about Kruma now by your business. Now Onyesika Daima, watch it. It doesn't favor Ghana. That money, I know they will repatriate everything away. Unfortunately for us, there is no law demanding on a foreign company say or profit, making sure that you retain 50% for maybe 3 years because the most can a bois onya MTN nyaya nansen look at the money MTN posted at the end of the year. Huge money. That money is going to South Africa.
Mobile money.
Everything is going to South Africa. So this money conswa adeba kwa sign yawo say the money cannot go in cities. That money cannot exit the shores of now city oduru togo kwentimi ntobanche. Enti when you say wabenya mfaso no or kwa or say repatriate the money in dollars. I don't know that they're leaving you dry. Enti as a government, you need to empower local businesses where there are challenges. Enti in America, last 2 years, most of their banks, signature banks, you can mention some of the banks, about 4 banks, and you have the same liquidity challenge. What the government did was that more challenging, or identify buyers. Then they did mergers acquisition just to ensure, say, the owner will exit, a new person will come and infuse capital so that bank activity will continue, Nipo Musika will continue. And that is done everywhere. 2008, when Obama came, America was going through similar crisis. And that's exactly when they introduced what you call the TAP. Trouble asset way or the buyer and also pompe sika egu some of these entities are JP Morgan Chase, the Chase Bank. It me acquire most of these entities and infuse sika into them. I know the day sa near money in find Mike one of those entities and that is done everywhere. But a brona jumboninti can no for and why a fugitive to be mine so I know Quabrane or so on money my the whole finance minister of Bakromano address or parliament. I say Pope Wafasi. No to Bible. And then on one you crew me Hannah me free papa free or see on my beam. What a shame. So for me, I think when you are doing politics and you know the kind of people you are dealing with, you understand them, you know their nature, said the Rollins is it will help you to know your friends are quite for so about your name. So I think the president should stay focused. He's delivering on the mandate. We are not out of the woods yet. Ghana for still expect more because some Ghana potential because I had the resources in the near my say yet to me capitalize on some of these things. Ghana, we will buy freedom for ourselves, not just freedom, but economic freedom for young people in this country. And our mind be first of all, young people must attain economic independence because I know and a bit me a bomo. I'm freedom when it comes to innovation. freedom in terms of credibility, creativity, freedom in terms of thinking, and they will be able to do a lot of things to help that particular country. And that is what we are looking at. So for me, I think that all the noise that is being bandied around by these old people who over the years are using politics as an avenue and making a lot of money for themselves and for their family, no, they are not looking at anybody. And I think the Wusika, the Attorney General, all straighten things up. Onion and Nearman Tentem. Now some of these jokers masquerading on our street, making unnecessary political noise, just trying to trivialize the gains of Ghana for a year. And Tentem na where they deserve. Let us place them there. My mom phone who say politics na and your joke be na you. We mean business. You cannot just come here, mess up, and at the end of the day, in the name of politics, you get away with it. So the American chat to say. Economy now is stable. Things are working. Let us look at how it will improve upon all sectors, creating job opportunities for young people and other social policies. A bit like the area of rent. A big challenge for young people. No, I'm expecting especially housing. A major challenge. The Mahama first government attempted to address that particular problem with this Saglime. What did they do? They sold that particular thing to Obi. I think that is one sector. Solve a lot of young people's problems.
That's true.
Because Sika man for the renting okroma and ya the ketwa 2 years advance, 3 years advance.
I know they.
A born here to boom 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 because nobody is regulating anybody. So I think that to be yes, I need money we are the comfort that the government seek to bestow on the people of this particular country, the dividend will be so overwhelming, and the name John Mahama will be a signature name in the political development of this country, Ghana for every feeder. Because Amamuno, and ye bibiao, and ye sika benya, and ye namfufo benya, and ye wine, and ye the signature, the legacy, Albert me live a transcended beyond generation. Kwame Nkrumah buna by now heaven. Na ya wo meti ene nyanwo maybe amema me kra de nyanwo no yes but I didn't know there be able need ko olivu legacy transcend beyond generation is the reason why today you and I can still feel comfortable ayeka kwa me nkroma sam me kra me ka se ayesa aye fence Kotoka International Airport no yamfa nto kwa me nkroma na nkroma International Airport na yenkwa yanim because obobra papa na yese yeto obadin
and okay yes someone park right to
the abadin yes
obi kra timi wu.
Oh yes,
na ya wodi na ede akwa na
to because of the legacy that you left, you understand. So we need to encourage people say obo abrabo papa or mine will few, and it will motivate and encourage a lot more young people. But this tribal conversation that has been activated by Afenyo Makan is absolute nonsense, and I am not sure say Ghana folk will give that particular thing a welcome because he entertaining those things. Now you allow sa no into our politics, we will end up destroying everything. Because when some of these tribal conversations take a center stage of our national development, near national way, we may end up encouraging that is not what we want. We are looking at a nation. You bet me blend obia energy in a positive way. It doesn't matter where the person is coming from. Me transna me ya politics minimum when na minim bunu na minimum obia. I see Ghana. The people are united in purpose. Wo ade wo yanim say ha na yeko. And until we get there no we are not done. You understand? So I think that these are some of the measures that we need to put in place just to ensure say you bet me akwa yanim.
Meba sesia Alaska fa grata bi media amount fatu onum na yenye exercise kakra 90.5 FM suni PAMPASO ena waso egua utie no now mame sorry nyina kakra na mehwe se metime hu document we ya my project the NDC 2024 manifesto page 65 over screen is wa me bacho I say chairman sabozo problem with I say omoba no menye hwe na yen niam na ye na no mo do mo say keka. The last time me bisa o say MPP NDC so bia ye will be 92 me boa 92 no mo political party no but en some road no anyi bru 92 me boa enti obi en wo de krobia ba kromu a obi en wo ba no kita kwan. So okay, so I think sir and one no. When NDC manifesto am the call 2024. Na when national infrastructure a year development program. I don't know, friend, the big push. Tie. Say chairman Sambo Suntie. Aha, Sabiga, we are muncha, we no fan sending on tie. Was say the NDC will roll out the big push for national infrastructure development to continue the NDC legacy of massive infrastructure development to boost growth. Okay. Number one was we will embark on a $10 billion accelerated infrastructure plan to drive job creation. And then number one. Number two, was say undertake an inventory and review of all uncompleted and abandoned government infrastructure projects across all sectors and complete and equip critical uncompleted structures in order of priority and visibility. Etienshe, the first two paragraphs, no. One, the money involved. Two, after Satsikana Banawieno, to undertake, also we will undertake an inventory and review of all uncompleted and abandoned government infrastructure projects across all sectors. Across all sectors. And the same chairman said, Super Channel say, and Kajama Mabaye, Nanka of Anko project now, we are Nanka, when you find two and no chassis, a Kufadu project. One the mentality. But the NDC, at the San Crataway, Ghana for Nancy say, when Motu about the Maya, Sa Abambe ba, Obisi school down ha, yen no Saba Bediasasi, the same district, the same project, the same design. Woman say, your mama say a tin of the past. A chum, a titiquasem, and your tenne. Sakufado a project be Nasa present mama. Priority project at you. Was it structures in order of what? Priority. A priority project. This government, led by John Mahama, will continue. Eti Kwaku say message or the Kwaku Anama. Am I oba? Am I oba? Oza chairman sa Kwaku Bozu. Bebacho, where NDC documenta, woman the bar, a year, I'm the elections. And this, I talk about infrastructure. Ivan.
Yes, you see, now me kind of baby say, when MPP is in power, they cause distraction, they destroy. When they are in opposition, they morph into saboteurs. So when they are in power, they destroy. When they come into opposition, they turn themselves into saboteurs. They always be on message now. You see, Abra Akufo-Addo power no. Adia bakwana Ghana for years so much worried about a abandoned project. Because Mahama started project Kumasi and then the bottom sika no the started
Exactly.
Ghana for sika. So as a government, you know, our government say governance a continuum no. You cannot abandon such a project because and now allow such a monumental project to rot. Yebi eko esagleme. We did the same thing. And a Ghana for Gina so kahubi eramode koto aba. So you expect the president now abano who abandon project I also was started. No way. Because he's not ruling this particular country on his own terms. Oh.
Exactly.
He's ruling on the terms Ghana for no war. Because Ghana for them overwhelming mandate man. And for me, sa agenda 111 yeah. Omodi ye de go and look at the expenditure. Sikano, there was no money. Kakana or almost spread it on what started near Manina, Bakukran Mutimi Drew baby. And the kind hospital. Sometimes people are funny. They think that building is when a hospital. No. What's here, Dina? We know stocking it is a new level. That's 10. Because hospital is not about a building. And you need to stock it with the state of the and the money hospital. Now, what to foundation now? You will see as a hospital by a dean hospital, but it's not hospital. But the government has accepted the challenge. Say, Maye amana ye because you see hospital now. Ghana for the benefit, and no be on them Ghana politics. Majority leader crowd went to me in the year. Your people felt that we are incompetent. Am I a pamo we are kete? I could find on a pamo because they felt to say when you need there, but we not competent enough to lead the party. Ya pamo na bra no ready. He wanted to even resign from the party. Am I man for credit? Such a person today has the moral audacity to be engaging media and be talking about say abino nearma or ye bia or more nearma no more nearma bang. until MPP lay any for solid foundation and can hold him go send It got to a time there was nothing sensible to speak to as a government. Everything I remain relevant. To the point to say the Ashanti regional minister on radio, a challenge. Radio host man Kwanya say onke kan ade ayaya no Ashanti region. He could not mention a thing. What has here?
Simon Osemensa.
Yes. And even the national chap, one of the executive, Captain Smart to show so the same thing. They could not mention a single monumental project. Why on one casa in Florida
in 8 years,
8 good years. Such shameless characters and then or Matthias Abonte in the name of politics because for cheap and because when you go sit behind some of the microphone. Some of the journalists are also such that they can't even ask any sensible questions. And then they just allow you to say anything. All cast answer, no. And I will be sense papa. Pakistan will free ban as free China and Eba. Because Anka wo chroma in the last 8 years, as answer we are okay there. Nanka mu Quenya and come betting ye. But Abana Waba for 1 year, no. You don't expect government overnight and everything will turn boom, considering the economy that you left behind. So that is what I make us say. Emma yabomubu as a young person because Sautu anywhere in the past. Now here's a uncle for when na who free say omboya politician who see be free omo na omo kasa the poverty of wit and intellect that they live in their work near shocking. Then you begin to turn around and say, nah, it is better I listen to a young person than to listen to some of these old cargoes because omono it is about them. Because some now kind of a pure partisan politics seeking to gather certain relevance for a party. That has degenerated into the gutters. And MPP need credibility. Be Ashanti regional free banner. Corona could be young people out there whether they trust the MPP. Let me say, dear no more. These are things you should be able to speak about. Because baby, John Muhammad Jinan in the people are looking at the economic statistics and the indicators. So you adapt to your GDP. For the first time in so many years, I drop it to 45%. I buy no crown. The projection as for nam ho baby dollar. One of the Fitch, I catch and say, you bet ended 2025. I was 15.5. Yeah. Air Cornell 10.5. So these are things that edify all the projections. Yankasa over last year budget na yes. We may be a project inflation. Inflation may be a project too, you try. Yankasa a projection we defy it. Besides DNS, something is happening. And to your opposition, when you look at all these things, you have no other option than to commend the government and expect more. And say, why you but you can do more. That is a challenge than seeking to trivialize the whole thing as if we are the Papa B. We can do the statistics, we can do comparative analysis, and we can look at the figures, what Ghanaians were going through to the extent that inflation at some point in time was around 54. In the history of this country, when was the last time we say inflation? Bank of Ghana, na juma aye monetary policy. Ya run a Bank of Ghana boka. Because kwabraneti ho or that's around pa. Not the Bank of Ghana printisika. Ya ni buy so in a year, omo boka over 60 billion. Obia ka ho asem. This same jokers did a press conference because say Sami Jamfia cotton gold boka. What the Bank of Ghana? Bank of Ghana, omo ton to say omo ton seminar. Bank of Ghana enibia. But Bank of Ghana recorded 60 billion, unprecedented in the history of this country. Yankan Hwasem lost. You lost. And then you go to other sector. Other senseless interventions. You do my sika ko shame. Now what can about your friends a cathedral? Yes. Or say chairman Santi Kruma and I could for the quad so on the sort of my sika basic cathedral. Obient men you any man Kenyans as a man and it did some who could judges for dying to go. And now no say Ghana the cast $97 million. And I saw such a shameless character today had the audacity to be doing what? Politics in I am for, and you see, in such a way say, so watch your wobudia, you can say anything and get your own because Ghana, your baby, you put to prominence on. And some of the panel can nyansa a woman. Because some of these people will just fade into obscurity. Because obi akra and so because Abrano nyasa mobio, Mabobi in the last 8 years. The track record is just there. Obia who ahotira Ghana for come. It got to a point. Oko airport a hocha makola. Because every single young person in this country was living through the next available flight or kwabruchire. Because economy ni niema mfa. And menka se niema ye yesa. But gradually, no, there is confidence that is returning. And then investors can bring their money back and invest into the country. And the rating agencies now, omu rating a junk, and omu nyina rewrite their book. Say, are you aware that Ghana can go out there and borrow? But we are not borrowing. Yeah. Ghana can go there and out and borrow, but we are not borrowing. You understand? Actually, said the government has been very disciplined. What beside home baby John Mahama Konya Sika domestic debt exchange program for no what you amoka 2 times. What beside home say no? What beside home baby Onya Sika eye sika na yakobo bosia e domestic way na enam so mo ban ye euro bond no. What you 2 times. What beside baby Onya Sika no? Energy sector na ka mene ye no na no what be say obi okonya sa sika no but over the years I didn't na ye ntia e sure say the gentleman is doing something or try to reverse the economy no say once again Ghana will become a beacon of hope to a man for a sub region because over the years from independence to end Ghana has always been a shining star example a man for you because yenya independence in 57 no in a period of 10 years, near Tima inspire over 30 African countries to get independence, all because of Ghana. And to mention what Debbie, so we have Ghana flag now. Sakala Nana win adoptee. Ghana exactly because they could not take it just like it is.
Yes.
So Ghana flag and I'm inspiration what we did into no I'm picking your colors into we are no attend no we are no any say we are any say yes you can count. Just say we've always led the way for others to learn from us, to follow us. Na ebedru ba bi no o mine be a humiliation on the global stage. Obo Ghana I because we could not even borrow. Government can cook the books, write you have fake figures not they call international we so kwa kwajibosia. Okwa na expose you. These are the realities I go through, and during this time no these people were here. They were part of the establishment and this ansem hunu no. I know the day and nam say no munye bibi different because they were enjoying it, you know. Nobody was bold enough to stand in front of Akufo-Addo back kind of crying out and say, "Chale, amamuna eba si ebebuno. This is not what we promised the people of this country. We need to do things and do things right. Sebeya, you betimi leave a legacy. You betimi aboy. Even a opposition crowd party na bano. Look at the state MPP women there. The party itself na kama kacha say the brand na nkasa no. Atiti apansam a party na ankasa no is a problem. What bizarre say anim de nyansa no mo de tinchen no adento mo fan rebuild the party no na no mo koto abai look at people mo pop up to mo president edi on the ticket of the MPP wo bizarre say de ntia because that is the state a party na ba be dru enne enti omo ade bia na they need to draw back, look at these basic things na omo fix it. Or fix that credibility problem now, then you begin to engage Ghana for 7 years, Ghana for better watum, until so do that level of acceptability at Ghana for who say, okay, baby, I'm about to do you have that moral clearance to criticize Obino. Until so do that page, you know, idea be regarded as noise. Is the reason why people don't take them serious anymore. And unfortunately, they are not amenable to reasoning. They are not amenable to wisdom. They become very hostile to it. Now look at the characters leading the party. Now no, Professor Babon Tobaka Nasemi. Now no and see now the whole general secretary to radio Suki Kanse Munu gaga. Professor Adibia can't same way. As a badrima, you subject to critical scrutiny as identity and all kinds of same way. As some no can take it time, not dinner home, not reflect it, not look at what is going on in the party before you react. But I know and see na on radios now bronya nam hana we nama and sa. So how do you build such a party? And today these people have the audacity out there telling Ghana for say they see buo mine. Munim say they see buo mine and the last 8 years in the FA me I believe in multi-party democracy. And say NDC require strong baby. Now say MPP ye weaker. I know the day on mine na beko fa. Because for democracy to thrive properly, no. You need to build these institutions, make them very competent enough. Sebaya, Obia betimia standing abine toe to toe because lie in the constructive criticism and the dialogue na yebaya no within your development a lie. Because a woman will be chance to lead without any opposition. I know the day, no, they will take things for granted. So we need the MPP to be responsible. But unfortunately, no, they don't even want to be responsible. And I think, these are the basic things. And some now all kind of, he's just espousing their nature, advertising who they are and what they represent. A buying project, say no more start on major say, and Akufo-Addo examples with that we can cite. But then John Mahama say that narrative no is a sick narrative. He want to deviate from that narrative. A buying project is a buying project. A Ghana for Sika na idea shame. No matter what, when never started yet. As long as it's going to serve the interest of the people, I will make sure we complete it. It's the reason why he has directed all the ministries, any uncompleted project, make sure say you finish it. And now there is another directive. Yes, sir. Schools now OCC your mujano mura. Yes, as conference saying blocks no. Yes. Ongoing construction or make sure that the mujano mura numina no metimi atoa so free SHS no mo de buy no. I know the day there was a challenge ya choke ya enkra enye ba bi nko na school dance sikuram na obi say am say nyansa sembe ne wom and obi en hotimi to aban for say edan ya aka ngura me adent na yan complete na yan fa nkra nkom rather than say you run gold, green, red and whatever. So for me, I think they have no moral audacity. Omono sa attitude class politics na e kire say we opposition that criticize you know. That's exactly what they are doing. And they are not even doing it anyway. But one thing that be am person be catch am for tell say politics. Answer a bit me criticize you know. Make sure say wona ejina ye. Because wona ejina ye now you lack credibility. Oba Kenyans asema Kenyans asem Ghana for not take it serious. It's the reason why Fenyoman can be a press conference. Now be comment na se no. Atema man for odinu na press conference no ye no. Because nipa nim say won Kenyans asem abraba abebo is quite obvious. They say America ECG wo tokura muja no hokra na nyantu anwie. Ghana for expect say enka ene you've been prosecuted. And today you have the audacity to stand on your feet and be saying what? So for me, I think that we are, of course, looking at how things are going, making sure that are buying on and deviate. Not the Ghana for penno, on your mom, not development. Man for that is what Ghanaians are looking out for. Because young people don't want pity. They don't want to say, oh, no. Make sure job available or apply obenya ko yenu na omutu kwan kwa America no obi enu or the protocol na ko duru ha once onsa adwen be ya adwuma no obenya adwuma anya sika sa na ese Ghana ye you don't need to know anybody before you have access to job, and that is the kind of way the ultimate Ghanaian dreamer me free say yenya ebetimi aboaye, and that is what the government is working towards.
Yanko yanim 90.5 FM suni Ivan Kyei Innocent a social commentator, youth activist. Then na what is siana ye kono famiko GBC na menti story we say few hotel famiko Ghana Broadcasting Corporation limited and how many limited in home Ghana Broadcasting Corporation ma ore ma me twa de tiasa GBC ni yanko na tie okay last man is also me go Referee William Agbovi. Referee, me go. Okay. And the attorney say, one minister in charge of government communications, Eben Wono. Catching his own tier radio good. Ora Felis Kwachu Fosu. My name say as minister of government communications, Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Say. In fact, the state media houses no. Now, NDC aban tesono, binding the control. Say ye budget almost budget then a government of Ghana to or more. A woman say a media house. Mensu a media house there. Enka ye normal competition there. But me the mania to former who say and near be a Kosoa. Sir, Honorable Felix Kwacho for so and for the Nancy for more. Dachi Obekanisa. Sure, let me tell you. MP before recruitment to be here to go on newsroom ne editors in that's all. Okay, sir. Daily graphic for Koye story bima after vice president ho. Emma issue apology. Mubisa one yes our story no. And Ramin Kwatia. Okay, President Mama every city GBC no. Yanfa President Mama in GBC newsroom. Called computers in here. The MPP as a political party, a form of government for 8 years, and make sure as a GBC no, Neomodi Akrano, on the Fadia free Musem. Emma started to turn GBC channels. Yes, sir, we have 4 TV, GBC channels, radio channels and television channels, and the MPP Omutuntoye. And now me cutting Kotia. Sabija. Kwame na penyo mark na oye minority leader. Atimi ahu problem o GBC newsroom. And this for told be amudi agro too much. Kwame na penyo mark no. Atimi ahu problem o GBC newsroom. Akoto desktop. Ahe. What was it like? Laptops 10 and a desktops ahe 10, 20. Adentina MPP bedi 8 years no. Oman timi ahu an resource GBC newsroom. Na senka MPP na teswa. Enka ena Mahama Yarega. Eye minority leaders esia. Mahama Yarega MPP for be pene se. Mahama Yarega ni NDC for nkoto laptop enkoma GBC. Question mi bisa no. Eti owura Felix Kwacho fosu for next form. Kika ho. Majai MPP appointees in all sectors. And nobody say hunu. That one say power take you. I can't 3 years bro. A Juman by Yetiamono. Etene Kwamna Pedoma Kene minority in parliament. Atibia who say a state institution abide a shaswano. One problem near. And some be a shadow coming to me Kansas here. But I am just putting this on there. Sir, Honorable Felix Kwacho for soon find Nancy form. A sense I am told. Say GBC, Daily Graphic, Ghanaian Times, and a Ghana a journey. Ninja abide the Ninja on our shasso. Minority 4 Bowra GBC newsroom. Akoto laptops and desktops. And their mom say, woman laptop, woman the Juma, and to woman ye. Abamba get in one. Etiabane Sena. Kwame na penyo mark and before who say GBC honomono problems wo ho etianko solve Matisa Boche bi former Boche graphics meboa say graphics do ya dia abandia wo ma sa se waton ma brofu bi one graphic for Sassy, Yaton, and MPP. Graphic assassin, Yaton. Etebandesena, Kwamna Penomakin, who said Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Omni laptops on newsroom. Womani computers, a Sisiwa, Womani news. Etoma Kotoma Kumaku 20. Etu to a summer president mankind, near Chiano. Asama, your friend is saying, Professor Jenano Pokwajiman, Enkano, near Chiano, Yawia, near Bepacho. He says, boys, no, Omurukutu Omgu newsroom honum, and news editors, the pro MPP guys in the Gusuya Juma, out the state media houses in Ninamu. And Womudis and Hunu. Etikata General by now, President Mama Koye, Nelson Kaucha, but I was Sakino. President Mama Ko newsroom hot. I bet your mama President Mama call GBC newsroom. Now President Mama visit no 1 month to my MP before control laptop and I come GBC. And somewhere go on no. May I suma for Ghana Juman ye. Sir NDC abana teswa the state media house of Suninano abadi and nay woman by and your magic NLA. I go back to GBC no. First let GBC and Abu Bolo to her. MP before Baba Jima UTV. Etiyanka Sasikano. Sasikano I'm come UTV for 8 years no. Sakano Mugusu Bolo to her. And can GBC for years can go to computer. What are you talking about? What about my power in your day? Now Munyanga Crophobia and strategic positions. Now you better election year no. Why am Muda for some? Muda Munyana for some sir. Young cop, young me bre 8 years. Emma me 4 years in Quatrafio. You. And come on, see the chroma. Young me bre 8 years. Emma me 4 years and Quatrafio. Etimunya some mema. Mu take hard decisions. What can I for the 2 radio gold? It was a light on the table. But was a doom radio gold. Opa, Kokoshipo, never no guy. Now the nipa or 2 on one. MPP for call editor to her. When a ban in newsroom. Woman, hey, Gabby Munkroft for. And we are the list in the baba. Now, a penal market, minority 40 million problem on GBC newsroom. Ekoto computers 20. Budget why? At the last year, no GBC in the budget. This is where it's about to talk computer and former GBC newsroom. Me and someone a koye meka and koye so meka. That is how I am. Eti honorable Francis Kwacho Fosu. I am told, sir, una GBC, una share state media house because government, so now in charge of government communications. At a medium one, abansu eyusu. At a radio station be aso on your juma, TV station be aso on your juma. GBC dia omane dia, and whoever or teso as president, and as said here, SSA or resources microphone. Langa baby say, thank you for the word so sweet. Kwasibu acho hadrion. You feel so I. You feel so. Ne meka na maka chiro mo. Ombeti omuntie so amunyai. Mo de amunye na fofo. Oh we okotra fie na adwuma besai. Ya tra fie miensa. Ya de enye nipa. Ti mo ntra ho. Na munye ne mo ye no. Na da chi bi no. Ye nyina na ti krom hanom. Heart Brothers Real Estate for that my air boy.